Hey guys, it's Jason. I know that most of the videos from this point forward will be of me and my adventures on the ships and the places I'm going, people I'm meeting, things like that. But the first thing that I want to do, and I've been wanting to do this ever since I got started on this adventure, is to go through the process of getting your Merchant Mariner credentials. It's a long process. It took me about 3 months. So I wanted to go through that. Now, before I get into this, I want to say that there are two routes you can go through to get your credentials, let's say. And one of them is going through an apprenticeship program. The other is taking classes at a maritime school. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my process and the route that I took and explain how I got my credentials. If you go through an apprenticeship program, it is different because you won't have to take classes. They will teach you that. So let's just go through what I have gone through. To begin with, your number one source of information will be the National Maritime Center, the NMC, and I will put a link to that site below in the description. It's just a super valuable source of information. The other thing I would suggest is going on YouTube and finding Sailor Dean, subscribing to his YouTube channel, and also joining his community. It's a huge, huge source of information, and it really answered a lot of questions for me. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the process of obtaining your MMC. The first thing you want to do is you want to obtain a TWIC card, TWIC, and that is the Transportation Workers Identification Credentials. You can get this at Staples, Office Depot, maybe other places, I don't know. I will put a link down to the tsa.gov website. You can type in your zip code there and that will tell you where you can get this. It's very simple. You go on tsa.gov and you go to enroll. You fill out your application. They ask you a ton of questions, and then you set up your appointment. For me, I went to Staples, and when you go in, it's a pretty quick process. They basically just take your fingerprints, they take your picture, and then they ask you all the same questions that you filled out on your application. I don't know why they do that, but they do. And then it's just a few days before you receive that. And the TWIC card is the card that will get you into the ports. It's your transportation card. Also, the really cool thing about a TWIC card is when you're traveling, you can cut through the line. They have the TSA pre-board, and you can use it for that. And I've done that, and it's a nice little benefit. So after you go for your TWIC card, let's just say what I did was I went for the classes. I explained that. And the school I went to was Blue Water in Jacksonville, Florida, and it is a very good school. I highly recommend it. What you're going to want to take is the STCW basic training and the VPDSD, which is Vessel Personnel with Designated Security Duties. It's two separate classes. The STCD is 5 days. The VPDSD is 1 day. STCW is basic training. You're going to cover things like firefighting. You're going to cover first aid, CPR. You spend a day in the pool trying to, you put on your immersion suit and you practice flipping a life raft over, just basic safety skills when you're on a ship. And I'll explain why you need to take these things and why I explain to you in this order as opposed to later. It will make sense. So after your TWIC, after your classes, you want to take a drug test, and you want to make sure that they know it's a 5-panel DOT drug test. Tell them it's for the Coast Guard. It has to be at a USCG, U.S. Coast Guard approved site. I went to a Concentra urgent care. So check your urgent cares. I think most of them would be qualified. You're also going to have to take a physical. And for the physical, you're going to want to go to the NMC website and print out a 719K, 719 kilo. I'll say that because there are different 719s. You want to take that with you when you take your physical. And when you're done, triple check that everything is correct. I actually was rejected the first time I went to send this in for my medical certificate because the doctor did not fill in the space where it had my uncorrected vision. I wear glasses normally, and she did not fill in my uncorrected. So you want to make sure everything is filled out. On your 719K, under section 1, you want to put for your endorsement, and this is why I explained the whole going to school and taking the classes before this. Section 1 for your endorsement, you're going to want to check 3 boxes. Depending on which department you're going in, I'm going for deck. So I checked deck, STCW, and entry level. So you want to make sure those 3 boxes are checked. Next, you'll want to go to pay.gov, and you're going to want to pay for your fees. And once you get there, that's pretty self-explanatory. So now, once you have taken your drug test and your physical, you've taken your classes, I think that's all you have to do to... Yep. You're now ready to fill out your 719B, as in Bravo. That's your actual application for your Merchant Mariner credentials. Oh, let me go back. Just go back 1 second to your 719K. When you're filling that out, check to make sure that every possible page where you can print your name, you print your name. I think the medical practitioner has to sign 7 times, and you will have to sign 9 times. There's a lot of places to print your name, so make sure that that is all complete. Once you get your 719K, they will send you a 719P, as in Peter. Now you're ready to fill out your 719B. When you're filling out this application in section 2, and again, I'm not going over all the basics on these forms, like, this is where you put your name and this is where you put your address and the blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know all that. You're smart. Under your 719B, under section 2, the first row is original, and you want to check the boxes STCW And again, this is if you've had the classes you want to check. If you have your STCW certificates, then you want to check STCW. You also want to check entry level. Also in section 2, it will say right under those boxes what endorsements you're seeking. You want to put ordinary, seafarer, comma, wiper, comma, VPDSD, comma, and basic training. And again, this is only if you've taken the classes that you can put the VPDSD and the basic training. And yes, you can fill out for your credentials without taking out any classes. But what will happen is if you don't have the classes, then you're not going to get on a ship. It may be impossible. I don't know. But you do need some type of classes. So that's why you take them before. And like I just said, you don't have to take them. And when you're filling out your credentials and all your paperwork, you don't put any basic training. You don't put STCW. You don't put VPDSD. That's only if you've taken the classes. Under Section 3 of your 719B application, there is a section for your TWIC endorsement. It's a single box. Because this is the first time you are applying for your credentials, do not check the box. Do not check the box. So, once you've got, all the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. There's one section on third-party authorization. I chose not to do that. You can, of course. I don't know much about it, so I won't comment on it here. But once you have filled out your application for your credentials, you are going to want to send a photocopy of both sides of your TWIC card. You're going to want to send a copy of your medical certificate, which they will send you after you send the 719K in. And I will put a link of where to send that as well. You email it. I'll put a link down in the description. You're going to want to send in a copy of your 719P. You're going to want to send in some type of proof of payment from your pay.gov. I just printed out a receipt that they sent me through my email saying that I paid. And you're also going to want to send them copies of each of your certificates from the school. I don't know if I mentioned, but the school I went to was in Jacksonville, Florida. It was the Blue Water Maritime School, and I really benefited from it. It really gave me a lot of confidence. Great instructors. So that would be my recommendation to go to school there. So you got your TWIC card, a copy of your TWIC card, copy of your medical certificate, copy of your 719P, your proof of payment, your school certs, and then you want to send all of that to mmcapplications@uscg.mil. And again, I will put that link down in the description as well. So I think I've covered everything. It is quite a lengthy process, but if you just pay attention, again, the NMC, National Maritime Center website, will have just about all the answers for all the questions that you have for completing this process. One last thing that I don't know if too many people know about, but you can actually you can go to the post office and create an expedited, I wonder if I could do it on my printer, but you can create an expedited label and include that as a PDF. PDFs, let me mention that before I go. make sure that everything you send in anytime is a PDF and not a JPEG. If it's a JPEG, it will be rejected. So you need to send in PDFs for everything. You can also send in the expedited label, and they'll be able to, when they finalize your application, you will have that in 2 days as opposed to, 8-10 days through regular mail. So that's the process. Good luck, and I'll see you on the next video.